One rent-to-rent property can allow you to replace your 9 to 5 income, and I know this because I've done this myself, right? And in this video I want to tell you exactly how, and hopefully you can copy me and do exactly what I've done and replace your income with just one rent-to-rent property. I'm not asking you to go and find hundreds of properties. I'm not asking you to go and build a multi-million pound business. I'm simply urging you to try and get at least one rent-to-rent property, because you could make anywhere from £2,000 plus profit a month from just one large rent-to-rent property. And for me, that's completely changed my life. You know, from that one property I don't need to work anymore, and the time I get back allows me to develop my businesses and grow as an entrepreneur, spend more time with my family, work on my fitness, my health, and just overall live a better quality of life. So in this video I want to quickly break down exactly how I acquired this one large rent-to-rent property and how it's completely changed my life, and hopefully you can get some value from this. So around 6-ish years ago now, I was already a couple years into my rent-to-rent business, so I had developed the skill. I had become good at marketing and attracting landlords and making them offers, right? So I sent out, I don't know, 400 letters like I do every quarter of every year, and I got a response from a particular landlord who was in pain in terms of the situation he was in. He had a large 10-bedroom HMO, and he only had half of the property filled with tenants. The other half was empty, and the half that he did have with tenants in, they were all DSS tenants, and they were causing antisocial behaviour. I think a couple of them were in arrears, and this property had become a nightmare for this particular landlord, right? And I've actually got a full video breakdown of how this deal went and the numbers, which I'll put in the suggested next video, so you can watch that next. But I just want to talk to you about the psychology behind this deal and how I managed to make it work for the landlord and myself. So as I said, I sent these letters out. I got a response from this landlord who was in pain, who was in need of a solution to the pain he was in, the arrears, the non-paying tenants, and overall the property was not being kept in good condition. It was not being looked after very well, and he wanted a solution. He had another 3 or 4 properties not far from this one that were a lot better in terms of the tenants that he had in there, in terms of how well they were being maintained, and he was proud of those properties. But this particular one, slightly different area, worse tenants, and it had become a bit of a pain in the arse for him, basically. So he contacted me after reading my letter, and we arranged a viewing. I got my father to view the property at the time because I was in London. I had driven down to Wales most weekends, but on that particular weekend I was in London. So my dad viewed the property, met the landlord, they got on well. The landlord explained the situation to my dad, and I then jumped on the phone to the landlord and continued that conversation, right? So he was telling me all he wanted was a fixed long-term income. He didn't want to deal with tenants, he didn't want to deal with management, and he wanted to know if I could help him. So the next step from there was for me to come and meet the landlord. So the following week I drove down from London to Wales, and I met him at his favourite health spa. I remember we sat and had a coffee, and we went back and forth on what the best case scenario would be in terms of what he would like to happen, how much he would like to make from the house, the standard he would like the house to be kept to, and how little he would like to have to do with the property in terms of management and maintenance, right? So I sat there with my little pen and pad, and I remember he had his notepad too, and we just went back and forth on what the best case scenario would look like for both of us. And after about an hour and a couple coffees, we made progress, and we shook hands and decided that we would work together. And the agreement was I would rent the empty half of the house. I'll give him £1,000 a month for that, pretty much immediately. And then I would improve the perceived value of it. All it needed really was some paint and decoration, and it needed to be furnished. I would do that, and then I would find premium tenants to come in and pay me more than what I'd be paying the landlord, right, for an all bills included, fully furnished accommodation. And if the deal went well and that side of the house was rented and everyone was happy, then we would go to work on the other side of the house. The landlord would start evicting the non-paying tenants who were in breach of their agreement with him, and I would eventually rent all 10 rooms from the landlord for £2,000 a month. So that's what we did. We went to work and things worked out. They were a bit difficult in the beginning, but over the next sort of five months, we got the tenants out of the other side of the house. We rented the whole house out. We improved it, and long story short, nowadays we make £2,000 a month from that house. But the interesting point that I wanted to mention was the landlord was approached by another company like ourselves previously, and they asked him to spend £40,000 on improving the property before they would even consider working with him. So that scared him off. So when he got my letter and we sat down and had our conversation, I was a lot more flexible, and I decided to work with him on like a pay-as-you-go basis and work with the rooms that were empty, build our relationship, build our trust, show him how we work, and over time he could add value to the property and improve it once he's actually making some money, right? Because when he started speaking to me, he was at a loss. So over the next 5-6 months, as I said, we improved it. He also invested some money into the house and improved it too, once he saw that he was actually getting paid every month from half of the house. And then by the time he got the other tenants out, we started paying him £2,000 a month and turned the whole thing around for him, really. And for that, I think he still trusts us and wants to work with us today, and the relationship's there. That's why we still work with him today. So that one house makes us £2,000 a month, a little more than £2,000 a month. And if you're watching this video and you're sick of your 9 to 5 and you want to get started in property and start your own business, well, just one rent-to-rent property could allow you to replace your income and never have to work again, right? So you should really consider starting a rent-to-rent business, because there's many other landlords out there who need this service. There's many other landlords who are stuck and they want someone to come and relinquish the responsibility of management, and they want a guaranteed rent rather than tenants who going into next year are going to have the right to leave a property whenever they choose. They're going to be periodic tenants, so landlords don't really have any reassurance to know that they're going to make money every month for a long term, because tenants could sign a deal today and then leave a month later. So there's many other landlords out there. You just have to learn how to communicate the service to them and lead with value and solve their pain. And one property like this could allow you to replace your 9 to 5 income, and then the world's your oyster from there. You get all your time back. You can develop your business. You can go and get more properties, 3 or 4 of these types of properties that are making you £2,000 a month, and before you know it, you're making £8 grand a month, £100 a year from a business that only demands a couple hours of work a day, if that. Nowadays I spend around 1 hour a day on that business. Sometimes I don't even do that. So if you're watching this video and you want to get started in property, and you've maybe always thought that it's going to be too expensive for you or too difficult for you, you're not in a position to buy a property yet, I'm here to tell you that you can get started with as little as £5,000 to £10,000. This particular property we invested around £8,000 into, and now it makes us around £2,000 a month, and it has done for the last 5-6 years. So I hope you get some motivation, some inspiration from this video, and I hope you realise that this is possible for you too. Now, if you want me to help you start or scale your rent-to-rent business, I'll put a link in the video description below. Click the link, book a call. On that call we'll have a chat and see if we're a good fit to work together. If so, then great. If not, then keep watching the videos, keep getting inspired by my success students, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.